stood alone beside a tiny grave, a single white rose trembling in my hand as the rain fell softly around me. My wife Lillian was collapsing into the arms of her friend, her sobs cutting through the gray afternoon. Before us lay the smallest casket I had ever seen, holding our daughter Emma, just 3 weeks old. 20 miles away, my parents were laughing by my brother Derek's brand new pool, celebrating his big party. That morning, my mother had told me on the phone, "It is just a baby. Your brother has been planning this for months. You can have another child, but Derek cannot reschedule." What kind of parents choose a pool party over their granddaughter's funeral? And what did I do after burying my child alone? Before I share the rest of this story, let me know in the comments where you are watching from today. If you believe that family should be there for each other during the hardest moments, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Now let me take you back to where it all began. My name is Marcus. I am 32 years old and I work as a software engineer at a tech company in Austin, Texas. To understand why my parents did what they did, you need to know about the family I grew up in. We lived in a middle-class suburb outside Dallas. My father, Richard, worked as a bank manager, a man who measured success by numbers and status. My mother, Patricia, was a homemaker who devoted her entire existence to maintaining appearances and keeping my father happy. And then there was Derek, my older brother, by 4 years the golden child, who could do no wrong. From the moment I can remember, everything revolved around Derek. He was the star athlete, the honor roll student, the son my parents proudly showed off at every family gathering. When Derek turned 18, my father bought him a brand new pickup truck. When Derek went to college, my parents paid every single dollar of his tuition without hesitation. When Derek graduated and wanted to buy his first house, they handed him $50,000 for the down payment like it was pocket change. My experience was completely different. When I turned 18, I got a card with $20 inside. When I went to college, I took out student loans that took me 12 years to pay off. I started working part-time jobs at 16 just to save money for my future because I knew deep down that nobody was going to hand me anything. The favoritism was not subtle. It was constant and crushing. I remember my college graduation like it was yesterday. I had worked so hard juggling 2 jobs while maintaining my grades. I was the first person in my extended family to graduate with honors in engineering. I sent my parents the invitation 2 months in advance, called them multiple times to confirm they would be there. The morning of graduation, my mother called to say they could not make it. Derek had an important golf tournament that day, some amateur competition at his country club, and they needed to be there to support him. Support him for golf. While their other son walked across a stage to receive a degree he earned through blood and sweat. I sat in that auditorium scanning the crowd for faces I knew would not be there, and I told myself it did not matter. I told myself I was used to it, but it did matter. It always mattered. Then came my wedding to Lillian. We had been dating for 2 years, and she was the best thing that ever happened to me. She was kind, compassionate, and she saw me in a way no one in my family ever had. Our wedding was small but beautiful, held at a vineyard outside Austin with about 60 guests. My parents showed up 2 hours late. 2 hours. They missed the ceremony entirely because they had stopped by Derek's house first to see his new patio furniture. When they finally arrived at the reception, my mother spent most of her time talking to Derek's new girlfriend, complimenting her dress, asking about her job, completely ignoring Lillian, who was standing right there in her wedding gown. At one point during the reception, I overheard my mother tell a relative, "Derek's girlfriend is so sophisticated. She works in marketing, you know, very impressive." Not a single word about my bride, the woman I had just committed my life to, who worked as a pediatric nurse saving children's lives every single day. Lillian noticed. Of course she noticed, but she never complained. She just squeezed my hand and whispered, "We have each other. That is what matters." And she was right. Lillian became my true family. I met her at a coffee shop in Austin 3 years before our wedding. She was sitting alone reading a book about child psychology, and something about her quiet presence drew me in. We started talking and did not stop for 4 hours. Lillian grew up in the foster care system. She never knew her biological parents, and she bounced between 7 different homes before aging out at 18. Despite everything she had been through, she was the most loving person I had ever met. She understood the value of family in a way my own parents never could, because she had spent her whole life searching for one. When we got married, Lillian tried so hard to connect with my family. She sent my mother birthday cards, called to check in, invited them to dinners they always declined. She wanted so badly to belong somewhere, to have the family she never had growing up. My parents barely acknowledged her existence, but we built our own life together and we were happy. After 3 years of marriage, we decided we were ready to start a family. For months, we tried with no success. There were doctor visits, tests, tears of frustration. Lillian blamed herself even though there was no reason to. I held her through every disappointment, promising that it would happen when the time was right. And then one spring morning, Lillian walked out of the bathroom holding a positive pregnancy test, tears streaming down her face. We were going to be parents. The pregnancy changed everything for us. Suddenly, our small apartment felt full of possibility. We spent weekends painting the nursery a soft shade of pink, assembling the crib, washing tiny onesies in special baby detergent. Lillian would fall asleep with her hands on her belly, talking to our daughter, singing lullabies in a soft voice that made my heart ache with love. I built the crib myself. I'm not much of a handyman, but I wanted our daughter to sleep in something her father made with his own hands. It took me 3 weekends and more than a few smashed fingers, but when I finished, I stood back and felt prouder than I had ever felt of anything I had created. Lillian knitted tiny hats and booties in her spare time. Yellow ones, pink ones, white ones, with little flowers. She filled a drawer with them, preparing for every possible occasion. She was going to be an incredible mother. I knew it in my bones. When we were about 5 months along, I called my parents to share the news. My mother answered on the 4th ring, sounding distracted. "Mom, I have something to tell you," I said, my voice shaking with excitement. "Lillian is pregnant. You are going to be grandparents." There was a pause. Then, "Oh, that is nice." That is nice. 3 words delivered with all the enthusiasm of someone being told the weather forecast. Before I could say anything else, she continued, "Oh, speaking of news, did you hear about Derek? He just bought the most beautiful pool for his new house, in ground heated with a waterfall feature. It cost him $40,000. Can you believe it? He is having a big reveal party this summer. Your father and I are so excited." I stood in my kitchen phone pressed to my ear, listening to my mother gush about my brother's swimming pool while I had just told her she was going to have a grandchild. The contrast was so absurd I almost laughed. "That is great, Mom," I managed to say, "about the baby we are due in June. We would love for you and Dad to come visit after she is born." It is a girl." "Yes, we just found out." "Well, how nice. We will try to make it down there, but you know your father is so busy. And Derek's party is in June too, so we will have to see. I will let you know." That was it. No congratulations, no questions about names or nursery themes, or how Lillian was feeling. Just a vague promise to try sandwiched between excitement about a pool party. I hung up and found Lillian standing in the doorway, her hand resting on her growing belly. She had heard enough. "It will be different when the baby comes," I told her, pulling her into my arms. "Once they meet her, once they hold her, everything will change. They will love her." Lillian nodded against my chest, but I could feel her doubt. I shared it even if I could not admit it out loud. The months passed and Lillian's belly grew round and beautiful. We took birthing classes together, practiced breathing exercises, argued playfully about names. We settled on Emma Rose. Emma because it was classic and timeless. Rose after the flowers. Lillian had always dreamed of having in her own garden someday. On June 12th at 3:17 in the morning, Emma Rose came into the world. 6 pounds 8 ounces, with a full head of dark hair and the tiniest fingers I had ever seen. When the nurse placed her in my arms for the first time, I broke down completely. I had never known a love so instant, so overwhelming, so absolutely consuming. Lillian was exhausted but radiant, tears of joy streaming down her face as she watched me hold our daughter. "She has your eyes," she whispered. I could not speak. I just stood there, this perfect little person in my arms, and I understood for the first time what it meant to have your heart exist outside your body. From the hospital, still running on no sleep and pure adrenaline, I called my parents. "Emma is here," I said, my voice cracking. "She is perfect, Mom. She is absolutely perfect." My mother's response was hurried. "Oh, good. I'm glad everything went well. Listen, I cannot talk long. We are in the middle of planning Derek's pool party. There is so much to do you would not believe. We will try to come see you all next week. Okay, give our love to Lillian." She hung up before I could tell her Emma's full name, her weight, or anything else about her granddaughter. Derek sent a text message later that day. One word, congrats. That was the extent of my family's reaction to the birth of my first child. I pushed the hurt aside. I had Lillian. I had Emma. We were our own family now, and that was enough. It had to be enough. Those first weeks were a blur of midnight feedings, diaper changes, and exhausted laughter. Emma was a good baby, peaceful and curious. She would stare up at me with those big eyes while I fed her, and I would talk to her about everything and nothing. I told her about the life we would give her, the places we would take her, the love that would always surround her. Lillian and I took turns with night duties so the other could sleep. We were tired beyond belief, but we were happy. Genuinely, completely happy. On Emma's 19th day of life, I went to bed early, exhausted from a long day at work. Lillian was going to handle the midnight feeding. I kissed them both goodnight, Emma in her crib. Lillian settling into the rocking chair with a book. At 2:43 in the morning, I woke to a sound I will never forget as long as I live. Lillian screaming. I have never moved so fast in my life. I threw myself out of bed and ran to the nursery, my heart already knowing something was terribly wrong. Lillian was standing over the crib, Emma, in her arms, shaking her gently, desperately. "She is not breathing," Lillian sobbed. "Marcus, she is not breathing. She is not breathing." I grabbed my phone and called 911 while Lillian laid Emma on the changing table. The operator walked me through infant CPR. I tilted her tiny head back, covered her mouth and nose, breathed gentle puffs of air into her lungs. I pressed on her chest with 2 fingers, counting compressions, begging her to wake up. "Come on, baby girl," I pleaded. "Come on, Emma. Daddy is here. Please wake up." Lillian was on her knees beside me, praying, sobbing, touching Emma's face. The paramedics arrived in what felt like hours but was probably 8 minutes. They took over immediately, working on our daughter with practiced efficiency, while Lillian and I clung to each other in the corner of the nursery. They tried for 20 minutes. I watched them try everything, every technique, every intervention. Finally, one of them looked at us, a young woman with kind eyes, tears running down her own cheeks. "I'm so sorry," she said. "We did everything we could." Sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS. A diagnosis that means your baby died and no one knows why. No warning signs, no explanation, no one to blame. Just a healthy baby who went to sleep and never woke up. The next few hours are a blur of police officers and medical examiners and phone calls. Lillian collapsed completely and her friend Sarah came to stay with us. I made the calls I had to, make my voice mechanical, my words feeling like they belonged to someone else. When I called my parents, my mother answered on the second ring. "Marcus, it is late." "Mom, Emma is gone." The words felt like glass in my throat. "She passed away tonight, SIDS." Silence. Then, Oh no, that is terrible. That is terrible. The same flat tone she might use if I told her I had gotten a parking ticket. We are planning the funeral for Saturday. I continued, forcing myself to stay composed. 2:00 at the small chapel near our house. We need you here, Mom. Lillian is not doing well. I am not doing well, please. Another pause. Saturday, you said, let me check with your father and Derek. I will call you back. She hung up. No words of comfort. No immediate promise to be there. Just a vague, let me check. The next 3 days passed in a fog of grief. Lillian barely ate, barely slept, barely spoke. She spent hours sitting in the nursery holding the blanket Emma had been wrapped in, breathing in the scent of our daughter. Her friends from the hospital came to help, bringing food we did not eat and offering comfort we could not feel. I handled the funeral arrangements because someone had to. I picked out a casket so small it did not seem real, white with tiny silver handle. I chose readings, wrote an obituary, selected flowers. White roses for our Emma Rose. On Friday night, with the funeral less than 24 hours away, I still had not heard back from my parents. I broke down and called them. My father answered. Marcus, your mother told me about the baby. Sad thing. Sad thing. My daughter's death reduced to 2 dismissive words. Dad, the funeral's tomorrow at 2. Are you and Mom coming? He sighed, the kind of sigh he used when I was a child asking for something inconvenient. Well, here is the thing. Derek's pool party is tomorrow. He has been planning it for 3 months now, spent over $15,000 on catering and decorations. He has invited 50 people. We committed to being there weeks ago. I could not believe what I was hearing. Dad, this is your granddaughter's funeral. Your first grandchild. She was 3 weeks old. I understand that, Marcus, but Derek is counting on us. You know how important this is to him. He is finally getting recognition for all his hard work, showing off what he has accomplished. We cannot just not show up. And you can just not show up for Emma's funeral. My father's voice hardened. Do not be dramatic. Look, it was a sad thing that happened, but the baby was only 3 weeks old. You and Lillian are young. You will have other children. Derek cannot reschedule this party. I was speechless, literally unable to form words. Your mother will call you tomorrow, he continued. Maybe we can work something out, come see you next month. But tomorrow we need to be with Derek. He hung up on me. I stood in my kitchen phone, still pressed to my ear, listening to the dial tone. My daughter was dead. Her funeral was in less than a day. And my parents were choosing a pool party. Saturday morning arrived gray and overcast, as if even the sky was mourning. I was helping Lillian get dressed when my phone rang at 8:15. My mother's number. I answered, hoping against hope that they had changed their minds. Marcus, I wanted to call before we leave for Derek's party. Mom, please! I'm begging you! Please come to the funeral! Lillian needs family there. I need you there. Emma deserves to have her grandparents at her funeral. My mother's sigh was heavy with impatience. Marcus, we have been through this with your father. It is just a baby. She was only 3 weeks old. You barely knew her. Babies die. Sometimes it is sad, but it happens. You and Lillian will have more children, and this will all feel like a bad dream eventually. But Derek has been planning this party for months. He cannot reschedule. He needs us there as hosts. Your father is giving a toast. A toast. I repeated, my voice hollow. Dad is giving a toast at a pool party while I bury my daughter. Marcus, do not be selfish. Think about your brother for once. This is his moment. Lillian has her friends, you have each other. You will be fine. We will visit next month and bring a nice gift for the baby's grave. Okay, I have to go now. Derek is expecting us early to help set up. Before I could respond, she added, Try to have a nice service. We will talk soon. The line went dead. I turned around to find Lillian standing in the bedroom doorway. She was wearing a simple black dress that hung on her frame Having lost weight she could not afford to lose. Her eyes were red-rimmed and hollow. "They are not coming, are they?" she asked quietly. I shook my head, unable to speak. She walked over to me, wrapped her thin arms around my waist, and we held each other in silence. There was nothing to say. No words could make this better. At 2 o'clock, we arrived at the small chapel near our home. The rain had started a soft drizzle that felt appropriate for the occasion. The attendance was sparse. Lillian's two closest friends from the hospital, Sarah and James. The pastor, an elderly man with kind eyes who had never met us before, but agreed to perform the service anyway. And us. No grandparents, no aunts or uncles, no family except the broken little unit that Lillian and I had become. The casket sat at the front of the chapel, impossibly small, draped in white roses. I could have carried it with one arm, my daughter, my Emma Rose, reduced to something I could carry with one arm. The pastor spoke about innocence and angels and the mystery of divine plans. I barely heard him. Lillian sat beside me, trembling, while Sarah held her other hand. When it came time for me to speak, I walked to the front of the chapel, on legs that felt like they belonged to someone else. I looked at the tiny casket and tried to find words. "Emma Rose was with us for 19 days. I began, my voice cracking. 19 days of feedings and diaper changes and sleepless nights. 19 days of watching her eyes follow us around the room, feeling her tiny fingers wrap around mine, falling more in love with her every single second." I had to stop, collect myself, breathe. She never got to taste ice cream or feel grass under her feet or see the ocean. She never got to go to school or make friends or fall in love. She only got 19 days, and that will never feel like enough. But in those 19 days, she was loved more than some people are loved in a lifetime. Her mother and I will carry her in our hearts forever. I could not continue. I returned to my seat and held Lillian as we both wept. After the service, we drove to the cemetery for the burial. The rain had picked up, and we stood under black umbrellas as they lowered the casket into the ground. Lillian threw a single white rose onto the casket. I threw in a small stuffed elephant we had bought for Emma the day we found out Lillian was pregnant. As the groundskeeper began shoveling dirt into the grave, my phone buzzed. I should have ignored it. I should have let it go. But something made me look. It was a text message from Derek. Attached was a photo of my parents standing by his pool, huge smiles on their faces, drinks in their hands. The water sparkled blue behind them. Everyone looked so happy. The caption read, "Amazing party. Wish you were here, bro." I stared at that photo as rain soaked through my jacket, as my wife sobbed beside me as my daughter disappeared beneath the dirt. My parents grinning like they did not have a care in the world while I buried their granddaughter alone. Something inside me shattered completely in that moment. Something that had been cracked my entire life finally broke beyond repair. That night, after Lillian had cried herself to sleep with the help of sedatives her doctor prescribed, I sat alone in the dark living room. The house was silent. The nursery door was closed. I could not bear to look inside. I stared at my phone at that photo Derek had sent. I had looked at it probably 100 times since the cemetery. Each time I felt the same cold fury building in my chest. But fury was not what made me act. It was clarity. I realized, sitting there in the darkness, that I had spent my entire life chasing approval that would never come. I had made excuses for my parents, rationalized their behavior, convinced myself that someday they would see me, really see me. I had let them hurt me over and over because I kept hoping things would change. Emma's death had taught me that life was too short and too precious to waste on people who did not value you. My parents had made their choice. Now I would make mine. The next morning, I made a decision. I sat down with Lillian and told her what I wanted to do, and she agreed without hesitation. I blocked my parents' numbers on both our phones. I blocked Derek, too. I went through social media and removed every connection to them, unfriending, blocking, erasing. I told the few relatives I still spoke to that I was cutting contact and asked them to respect my decision. Then I started planning our escape. Within 3 months, we had sold our house in Austin. We packed everything we owned into a moving truck and drove north. We landed in Portland, Oregon, a city neither of us had ever visited, but that felt right the moment we arrived. Green trees, misty mornings, a fresh start. I found a new job at a smaller company with better work-life balance and a salary that let us live comfortably. Lillian took some time off to heal, then found a new calling. She became a grief counselor specializing in helping parents who had lost children. Her own pain gave her a gift for connecting with others going through the same thing. We started therapy both individually and as a couple. We learned to talk about Emma without falling apart. We learned to honor her memory while still living our lives. We planted a rose garden in our backyard with a special corner dedicated to white roses for our daughter. The healing was not linear. There were setbacks, dark days when Lillian could not get out of bed nights, when I woke up reaching for a baby who was not there. But we leaned on each other, and we found our way through. A year after Emma's death, Lillian became pregnant again. We were terrified. We had every test done, bought every monitor, barely slept for the entire pregnancy. But on a sunny March morning, our son Daniel came into the world screaming and healthy, and we finally felt like we could breathe again. We never heard from my parents during any of this. Not when we moved, not when Daniel was born. Our new life was completely separate from them, and that was exactly what we needed. Then 2 years after the funeral, an email appeared in my inbox. It was from my Aunt Carol, my mother's sister, the only relative I had not completely cut off because she had always been kind to me. The email told me everything. Derek's real estate business had collapsed. He had made a series of bad investments, borrowed money he could not repay, and lost everything. His house with the fancy pool was foreclosed. His wife discovered he had been having an affair with his business partner's wife for 2 years and filed for divorce. She took the kids and moved across the country. My parents, who had bet everything on their golden child, were left with nothing. They had co-signed on some of Derek's loans and lost a significant portion of their retirement savings. They sold their house in Dallas and moved into a small apartment with Derek, the 3 of them crammed into 2 bedrooms, trying to rebuild from the wreckage. According to Aunt Carol, my parents had tried to contact me many times. They had asked relatives for my new address, my phone number, any way to reach me. They wanted to apologize. They wanted to meet Daniel. They wanted back into my life now that their preferred son had failed them. Aunt Carol asked if she could give them my contact information. She said my mother cried every time she talked about Emma's funeral, about the choice they made about losing me. I read that email 3 times. I thought about responding. I thought about all the things I could say, all the anger I could unleash, all the pain I could make them feel. Instead, I simply replied, "Thank you for letting me know. Please do not share my information with them." I did not feel vindicated. I did not feel satisfied. I just felt tired and maybe a little sad for the family we could have been if things had been different. But I also felt free. Today, it has been 3 years since Emma's funeral. I'm sitting in my backyard in Portland, watching Daniel play on the grass. He is 2 years old now, all wild energy and infectious laughter, with his mother's smile and my stubborn streak. Lillian is nearby tending to her garden. The white roses are blooming full and beautiful, swaying gently in the afternoon breeze. She catches me watching her and smiles that same smile that made me fall in love with her all those years ago in a coffee shop. We talk about Emma every day. Daniel knows he had a big sister who lives in the sky now. We have photos of her in our living room, and we visit her grave whenever we are back in Texas. The pain never fully goes away, but it has transformed into something softer, something that feels more like love than loss. I think about my parents sometimes. I wonder if they have changed, if losing everything taught them something about what really matters. I wonder if they regret that phone call, that choice, that sunny afternoon by the pool while their granddaughter was laid to rest. But wondering is all I do. I have no desire to find out. The family I was born into failed me in the worst possible way, at the worst possible moment. But the family I built with Lillian, this little unit of 3+1 angel watching over us, is everything I ever needed. I learned that family is not about blood. It is about who shows up. It is about who sits with you in the darkness, who holds your hand at the graveside, who chooses you over pool parties and convenience and easy excuses. My parents chose Derek. Every single time for my entire life they chose Derek. And when it mattered most, they chose him again. So, I chose myself. I chose Lillian. I chose to build a life filled with people who actually love us, who would never dream of missing our darkest moments for a party. Sometimes letting go of the family you were born with is not giving up. It is choosing to stop begging for love from people who were never going to give it. It is freeing yourself to find love elsewhere. Sometimes the family you build is stronger than the family you are born into. Daniel runs toward me now, arms outstretched, yelling, "Daddy!" at the top of his lungs. I scoop him up and hold him close, breathing in the sweet smell of his hair. From across the yard, Lillian calls out that dinner is ready. The sun is setting over the trees, painting everything in shades of gold and pink. I look up at the sky and whisper like I do every evening, "Daddy loves you, Emma. Always." Then I carry my son inside to join my wife, grateful for this imperfect, beautiful life we have created together. Before you go, I want to ask you something. Have you ever had to cut someone out of your life, even someone you loved? Because they showed you that you would never be their priority. How did you find the strength to walk away? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who is going through the same thing right now. If this story touched your heart, please give it a like and share it with someone who needs to hear that they deserve to be chosen. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss stories like this one. And remember, you are worthy of love from people who show up for you, not just when it is convenient, but especially when it is hard. Thank you for being here with me today. I hope you go forward knowing that your worth is not determined by the people who failed to see it. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other.